I'm John with Sharpened Artist, and today we're finishing up part 2 of this portrait on sanded paper. As we finish up this portrait on UART sanded paper, this is a very small portrait. Again, it's 6 inches by 9.5 inches. I'm turning my attention back to the hair. It's one of the things that I usually do towards the end of the drawing. I usually save it towards the end, maybe to the middle of the drawing. I start working on the outline of the hair a little bit, try to build up everything at the same time, but I usually leave the hair until one of the final things that I tackle. But I'm working mostly I'm working from top to bottom on portions that I'm working on, so the hair is no different. On the hair, I'm working over on the left side first and then gradually over towards the right as I pass through, because I'm going back through this area over and over again. So I'm going here, putting in some shadows, getting the darkest areas in there in between some of the lighter areas, and then as I look back over it and I judge the values, I'm going back again doing the same thing. Now right now I'm using a very dark gray color to get some of those dark shadows in there, but I'm going to use solvent in the hair. I don't use solvent on my portraits in a lot of the areas. I don't use solvent typically in the skin, but I do like to use solvent in the hair, and it just helps to blend some of those colors together, and it speeds up the process just a little bit. So we're going to zoom in here just a little bit and look at how to get some of that feathered kind of look in the hair, especially on the very edge of the hair where you see the sky. So I'm applying the solvent right now, but we're going to zoom in here and I want to do a close-up, and I'm going to slow this down so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And then in just a little bit, we're also going to talk about one of the most important parts of doing a portrait. So I'm slowing this down, and as you can see, I'm just applying that solvent in these areas very deliberately, so I can get sort of a feathery kind of look, out of focus look right there on the edge. This is that part past the focal plane. So if we're using a shallow depth of field, we're focusing on the eyes in a portrait, then this is past that area, in an area that is out of focus. So speeding it back up again. Alright, so now what we're doing is just going in here, looking at the values, judging the values, trying to figure out if, there's anything that is out of balance. Now, the forehead is a little bit brighter, and it can always be a little bit more yellow or white than the rest of the skin. So I'm just evaluating that and trying to figure out if these values are correct when I look at the overall portrait and I look at the overall face. Now that the hair is in there, I can easily evaluate the rest of the values. The eyes are there now. I don't have the glasses all the way done yet, but the darkest values are there and the lightest values are here. And this is the most exciting part of a portrait to me, is right when we get towards the end and we get to just kind of go back over and figure out what to tweak and what to kind of accentuate, what to, how to just kind of bring it all together a little bit, and just these final touches here that we're leading up to. But as I evaluate the forehead, I do need more pigment in there, and so this is the opportunity for me to just start putting in more of the hue, the particular shade that I want. Now I'm looking at everything, so I'm going back down there to the chin. I'm even going to look at the mouth. I'm going to look at that shadowed area over there. I'm somebody, I don't really like a lot of harsh shadows. This one was bordering on the side of getting some harsh shadows. I typically like light that is coming from the top of the head down. This one nearly looks like using flash photography. It was outside, morning light, so it's a little bit different having these harsh shadows in there. I just think that if you draw harsh shadows often, it can start looking a little weird, I think. But I think that it worked in this case, and there's a lot of really nice blue highlights over here on the side of the face. A lot of reflective light from the sky that's coming back into these shadowed areas, which I think was really exciting. And on the ear over there on the right-hand side, model's left, there is the light from the sun that is reflecting back off of the ear, and I just think it adds to the realism of the final piece. So we are looking at the final touches, and this, I think, is one of the most critical steps in the whole portrait drawing process, or any drawing process, and that is because doing these final touches, because what happens is we may sometimes just start getting bored with it or getting restless, and we just want to be done, but you can overlook something because it's difficult to see things when you're so close to the subject matter, or you're so involved in it that it's hard sometimes to really look at it critically and objectively. Now I'm adding a little bit more of that light blue there, some of the reflection that we see from the sun reflecting back off of the face, and just going back through again, tweaking these minor little things that will add to the realism, to the curvature of the face, and some things that I see that would just accentuate some of the things that I already see in the reference, but I can make it look a little bit different in my own photo. So there you have it. That is the completed portrait on UART sanded paper. That's 800 grit using mostly luminance pencils. I want to invite you to get started today in colored pencil. Just pick up my free guide at that link, coloredpencil.link/guide. I also have that link in the description of the video down below. Biggest takeaways using sanded paper and colored pencil: I was surprised at how well colored pencil works on sanded paper. I was also surprised at how I could take lighter colors over on top of dark colors, and it works so well. And finally, I was surprised at how much detail, very small detail, I could get in my drawing. That was exciting. I'll see you in the next video.